I'll tell you a story, not of a new arch nemesis of mine, but of a fascinating individual I see when I go out for morning runs. I'm going to call him Moss Man. At 5 a.m., you see all sorts of interesting characters out and about in my town. There's the Japanese grandmother who waves and yells gambare as I run by, the friendly neighborhood gas man who I pass as he opens his gas station, and of course my enemy, Dogman, and his unsatiated beast. But recently there is one house I run past every day that's not so ordinary. It's so humid in Japan, moss is commonplace. Most homes have some moss, but it's dried out, chunky, and kind of unhealthy. It looks like it's struggling to survive. But not this house. This house has the most gorgeous bright green moss patch in the entire town. To my astonishment, I often see this old Japanese man out at 5 a.m. in the morning, standing outside admiring his moss. Sometimes he waters it and then stands back on the road to give his moss a good inspection before watering it some more. I've even seen other people walking by his house, surprised by the voluptuousness of his moss, and sometimes they even stand back on the road to admire the moss themselves. So, I suppose I'll let you admire the moss too. I don't know if I'll ever reach a point in my life where I wake up early with the sole intention being to cultivate moss, but I guess everyone makes the moss out of their own lives, don't they? Summer is out in full force with scorching 29-degree humid days, elementary students scavenging for bugs and lizards, dragonflies invading the classroom, sunburns, hydrangea flowers, air conditioners working overtime, and week-long torrential rainstorms. Hello, Japanese June. Surf camp this spring was heartwarming. I liked the waves in the morning surf session, but they were crazy powerful. When I did manage to fight my way out into the ocean and catch a wave, it was like jumping on the top of a moving vehicle. I would just shoot off towards the beach. It was all I could do to balance. But even though I spent most of the morning being slammed and tossed around by the ocean, I worked up a solid appetite for the barbecue that afternoon. When stomachs were full and the barbecue died down, we moved to the beach for a bonfire. One guy I helped at a surf camp ages ago was there, and he had come all the way from Ehime both years. He told me Kochi wouldn't be the same without me. What a kind thing to say. We had a chat and wished each other well. Another guy, a complete stranger, came up to me and said he admired me and that he was inspired by my videos. He caught me off guard, but it's such a wonderful thing for me to hear. It's still a strange feeling to be admired by many of my peers, and it's still strange for people to know me and my adventures in Japan, but for me not to know them. I'm sure there are hundreds, if not thousands of people my videos have reached the last 4 years, and I hope they'll reach and help many more people in the years to come. I went to a board game cafe in Kochi City and got my butt absolutely handed to me by my fellow Jets. We started off playing a game called Codenames. It's a game where you get a one-word hint and must guess what named cards that hint applies to. For example, a hint might be animals, so any card with words like horse, dog, cat, you can select and get points. It's more complicated than that, and sometimes how a hint relates to cards is unclear. There can be some pretty hilarious overthinking and mental gymnastics going on. My team didn't do that bad. We worked well together and could accurately guess the hints, but our opponents took a risk and ended up beating us in the final round, the buggers. The next game we played was Ticket to Ride, and I got destroyed. In this game, you can draw colored cards, and your objective is to build a train on the game board. It's like the game of Catan, but if Catan was only about building the longest road and nothing else. In this game, you can accept challenge cards and get points indicated on the challenge card for completing the challenge. But if you fail to complete the challenge, you subtract those points from your score. I didn't know this, so I took a ton of challenge cards and failed most of them. When I added my score at the end of the game, I ended up in the negative, and not by a little bit. I was down like 20 points. Despite my many losses that day at the Game Board Cafe, it was nice to hang out with some chill people and throw some cards around. I decided to step down from the role of Kochi AJET representative. It's a weight off my shoulders, and I'm glad to be free from the burden of leadership. I'm proud of the work I put in and the dozens of events I planned and ran the last 2 years with my 2 partners, Ellie and Mia. I'm extra proud because I did it all without being able to speak Japanese fluently. Also, I learned many leadership skills, techniques, and lessons along the way, and I'll be able to apply those to social situations for the rest of my life. I really enjoyed making artwork and videos for AJET events, and I'd like to think I made the communities I was a part of a brighter, safer, and more welcoming place. Over the last 2 years, I never went behind my partner's back on any decision. I took responsibility for myself and saw problems that arose, and I was professional. I never compromised my personal integrity. I made mistakes, but I learned and always improved. Some events didn't take off, like my final ice skating event and some community projects I proposed, like a Kochi video contest. But I view that as a mark of entrepreneurship. The only true failure would have been to not try. It's Nelson Mandela that said, "Quitting is leading too." Before my first AJET partner, Ali, graduated from JET and left Japan, I asked her if she wanted to stay on the AJET social media. She told me that she didn't. I was surprised and I asked her why. The analogy she told me was great. She said staying in the JET community was like being that university graduate that always hangs out with high school students. Now more than ever, I understand her feelings, and I have followed in her footsteps. The time to move forward has certainly arrived. I took a huge gamble organizing a barbecue at my house this month as Japanese rainy season is well underway. The week leading up to the barbecue, I was nervously checking the weather. It was pouring rain, but I got lucky, and the Kuroshio gods blessed me with a steaming hot Sunday. It turned out to be too hot, and all the JET friends I invited got more cooked than the food did. Speaking of food, there was a surplus of great dishes. People brought salad, fruit, salsa and chips, chicken, kimchi, beef, and even a vegetable pork dish. It was all frickin' delicious. And of course, I had a hot barbecue ready for anyone that wanted to use it. This was the largest party I've hosted at my house. Despite living in the same region, many of these JET people hadn't even met each other before. We swapped stories. I got to regale a captive audience about my Japanese arch nemesis. Everyone was just as horrified about Licking Man as I am. After a while, I showed people the interior of my house, and 3 of us got to show off our guitar skills and dancing techniques.
Oh, hello.
Hell yeah, that sounds great.
Piano. He's so into it.
I think people would pay good money for melancholic sea shanties and Charlie's magnificent dance performance. I couldn't have asked for a better redemption barbecue. Some of my ALT buddies were discussing how they have a reoccurring manga or comic that they create for their students, with original mascot characters. I thought the idea was epic. Now that I've stepped back from AJET and I've had free time on my hands, my friend Alex suggested I try drawing my own comic. I've done a few comic pages in the past, but never tried a larger project before. So I gathered up some paper and I spent about 3 weeks using my spare time to sketch out and then ink about 15 pages. It's based on an old D&D campaign I used to play. I've drawn and colored in 1 or 2 pages of comic panels digitally in the past. It's very time consuming. I think I'll leave this comic black and white for now. My drawings are far, far away from professional, but I am satisfied how this little project turned out. I can see myself drawing more comics in the future. 1 month remains on my Japanese journey. We've come a long way, haven't we? The view looks great from up here, but now is not the time to relax. The adventure isn't over yet. We've got more work to do. I have a biathlon to complete, a mountain to climb, places to explore, many goodbyes to make, and I actually have to leave Japan. Maybe this final month will be the most challenging yet. Good thing I'm always up for a challenge. Bring it on. That's all for now. Take care and be bold.